Three, two, one, start. So today we're going to be talking about the midpoint and distance formulas from 1.3 in geometry. So coming to example number one, understanding the midpoint theorem. So if DC intersects AB, this line, at the midpoint, which is point E, and AE is 20 centimeters, then what is the length of EB? So since E is the midpoint, that means AE and EB are equal to each other. So if AE is 20 centimeters and AE and EB are equal to each other, then EB also has to equal 20 centimeters. So going to example number two. So if M is the midpoint of VW, then what is the length of this entire thing, VW? So if M is the midpoint, then VM and MW have to equal each other. So, or in other words, 4x minus 1 and 3x plus 3 have to equal each other. So if we just set them equal to each other, 4x minus 1 equals 3x plus 3. And then we just cross it out until we get x equals. After doing some simple algebra, we would get x equals 4. So if you just plug in x equals 4 into this expression, 4 times x, or 4 minus 1, we would then get 4 times 4, 16, 16 minus 1, which would equal to 15. And because we know VM and MW are equal, so 15 and 15, 15 plus 15 would equal 30, which would be the answer of this question. So coming to example number 3, understanding the midpoint formula. So if B is the midpoint of this line AC, then what is the coordinate point of B? So the midpoint formula basically states that the coordinate point of the midpoint is basically the average of both x coordinates of the endpoints, so A and C, and average of both y coordinates. So the average of A and C would equal to B. So first let's do x coordinates. So let's take the average of the x coordinates of A and C, which is 1 and 4. So to take the average, we just add them and then divide it by 2. So 1 plus 4 divided by 2, right, for the x coordinates, and then comma. For the y coordinates, we would do the same thing, negative 3 and 4. So take the average of negative 3 and 4, we would add them, negative 3 plus 4, and then divide them by 2. So, if we just simplify this, 1 plus 4 equals 5, 5 over 2. For x, and negative 3 plus 4 is 1, 1 over 2. So 5 over 2, comma, 1 over 2 in parentheses. So then coming to example number 4, finding the endpoint. So where this question is going to similarly work to the last one we did. So if B is the midpoint of AC, then what is the coordinate point of C? This time they give us the coordinates point of the midterm and their midpoint, and they're telling us to find the endpoint. So we know the average of A and C equals B. So if we just put C as x comma y, we know the average of x and 1. So in other words, 1 plus x over 2, the average of them, would equal to the x coordinate of B, which is 2 in this case, right? 2 right here. So 1 plus x over 2 has to equal 2. And if we just solve for that, we would get x equals 3, right? So times 2 and then minus 1. And we do the same thing for y. So the average of 4 and y, so 4 plus y divided by 2, would equal to the y coordinate of B, which is 1. So, and if we simplify that out, we would get 4 plus y equals 2, and then y equals negative 2. And if we just put that in, the coordinates of C would be 3 comma negative 2. So then going to example number 4. Then coming to example number 5. We're going to be using the distance formula. So if they give us the coordinates of A and B, can we find the length of A and B? Yeah, well, yes, we can with using the distance formula. So x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared, and then square root of the entire thing will give us the distance of this line segment. So if we just put x2 as the x coordinate of b, so 4, and then x1 as the x coordinate of a, which would give us 2, so 4 minus 2, and then squared. And then do the same thing for y, so plus, and then y2 minus y1, which would be negative 10, minus, wait. Redo this entire thing. This is weird, bro. That is weird as hell. Okay. Okay, what? That is not supposed to be 4. Negative 1. Okay, yeah, that makes more sense. Okay, redo. Now coming to example number 5 using the distance formula. So if they give us the coordinate points of A and B, can they find the length of AB? Well, by using the distance formula, we can. So if we put A as x1, comma y1, and B as x2, comma y2, we can easily find it. So x2 minus x1, so the x coordinate of b, 4, and then minus x1, which is the x coordinate of a, which it would be 2, and then squared, right, according to the equation, x2 minus x1 squared, and then plus y2 minus y1 squared, so y2 is negative 1, and then minus y1, which would be 3, and then squared, and then squared, and then square rooted of the entire thing. And then we just have to simplify this. So 4 minus 2 is 2, 2 squared is 4. So negative 1 minus 3 is negative 4. Negative 4 squared is 16. And then square rooted the entire thing, which would give us root 20, which would be the distance of AB. Now to some practice problems. If you want to take a screenshot of this or pause this, feel free to do so.